Last week's disappointing loss, this week's tougher matchup, player profile, and coach's corner. All this today on Game Day. Hello and good morning, Cast Roble. I'm Brendan McCarthy, once again here with my fellow analysts, Michael Povey and Marcus Sampson. What did you guys think of last week's game?
Well, I think last week the Rams struggled on offense a little bit. They turned the ball over, and the effort just wasn't there in the second half.
You know, and to be honest, Marcus hit it. We just have to come out strong on the second half, and the second half of a game can change any way anything goes. So we just got to have more enthusiasm and readiness for whoever we face next.
All right, we have some highlights for you from that game. Wood Creek, starting off with the ball, is going to try to pass downfield, but linebacker Dusty Dutra intercepts the ball, runs across the field, gets a nice block, and is tackled at the 30. Now, 2nd and 5 at the 25. Castle will hand the ball off to Gabe Alvarado, who shoots right up the gut, and now it's just a track race with the safety. But due to a good pursuit angle, he will be tackled for a 40-yard gain. And a few plays later, Brendan McCarthy catches a fade over the defender for Cass's first touchdown of the night.
The Rams back on offense. 1st and 10. John Chapman catches the bubble screen, fights through a few defenders, and runs upfield to get a few extra yards. Wood Creek with the ball now is going to try and bounce the ball back outside, but Dutra making yet another play, tackles the running back for a loss. A few plays later, Dusty also recovers a fumble, giving the ball back to our offense.
Gabe Alvarado now, with some fire in his running, stands the defender up and almost breaks the tackle, but still gains 12 yards. After a hard-fought game, Casa will lose this one with the score 34-7, Wood Creek. Moving on to this week's game, the Castle Rams are going to play the Intercom Tigers, who have a 1-1 record, very much like the Rams. So after tonight, one team is going to come out with 2-1.
And you know, Brandon, I can't stress how important it is that the Rams come out 2-1, because if you go 1-2, it's very hard to dig yourself out of that hole. Now, the Intercom offense is a very complicated run style, and in order to beat it, the linebackers, the DNs, they all got to stay home and be able to rely on each other to make the tackles. And to give us a little inside scoop on what that's going to look like, Marcus is in his little corner to give us a quick look. Marcus?
And thank you, Michael. As you can see here, Intercom runs a 3-4 cover 1, which means they're going to be playing man coverage with one high safety. Also, they're going to have a blitzing overhang coming almost every play. Offensively, Intercom runs the wing T. They're going to have a tight end, a wing back, a running back, and a fullback. Also, they'll have one wide receiver split wide. And back to you guys.
And thank you, Marcus, for that inside scoop on what we might be seeing versus Intercom this Friday.
Yes, Michael, Intercom does run that wing T offense fairly well, averaging 300 rushing yards per game.
And the player most responsible for those yards is starting running back number 3, Austin Thurman.
Well, yes, we're going to have a defensive player really take care of that offensive threat, who could be Nick Kendall, this week's player profile.
Weighing in at 165 pounds and standing at 5'10", Nick Kendall is this week's player profile.
For myself, yeah, as a team leader, because on the field, safety is a big role. You have to make adjustments to the players on the field, and it's just something you have to do.
As starting strong safety for Castro Roble's defense, Nick Kendall pushes himself and the rest of his defense to be especially aggressive on that side of the ball.
I feel good. I feel like we've been preparing very well for this Intercom team. They run wing T, so I mean, they're not that hard to figure out. It's a big running offense, and it's just very easy to prepare for.
Nick Kendall is an athlete on and off the field. He decides to watch film in his spare time and prepare especially for this Intercom game, which he has a great feeling about.
I've done a lot to prepare for this game. Watching a lot of film, they run so much, a lot of formations, and trying to step up our corner scheme so they can be more physical at the line, because they don't do a lot of passing.
With this being his last season, he has high expectations for himself and the rest of the team to take it into playoffs.
I expect a lot. I expect to go to the playoffs if we pull this off. Intercom is a ranked team, and they'll probably be one of the toughest teams on our schedule.
Nick Kendall is ready for a physical matchup versus Intercom this Friday.
Yes, Castle Rebels defense is definitely going to have to step it up this week, along with Nick Kendall.
Exactly, Brendan. Nick Kendall and Coach Ryan are going to definitely have to prepare for that elusive wing tee this week.
That's right, and to get a little more to talk about that, I got to sit down with Coach Ryan the other day in this week's edition of Coach's Corner. Good morning, Castle Roble, and welcome to Coach's Corner. I'm your host, Michael Povey, here once again with the big dog, Coach Ryan. Thank you for being here, Coach.
Hey, happy to be here.
You know, it was a tough loss versus Wood Creek this last week, but what were some of the positives and negatives you got to take away from that game looking on to Intercom?
Well, I thought we played it pretty well, pretty good game in the first half. We made a couple mistakes, and then second half, it appeared like maybe the punt team was our best team on the field, which isn't really always good. A couple of big plays by them, we couldn't match their speed, and we'll look forward to this week.
You know, a lot of people say that Intercom is probably one of the harder teams we're going to face on our schedule, even much better than Wood. How do we expect to face these guys? Like, have we made any changes offensively or defensively?
Well, they very likely could be one of the most difficult teams on our schedule. They're ranked 14th. We beat them years ago to win the section championship and haven't actually beaten them since. So I know Coach Stark's going to bring a very well-coached team to the game on Friday, and we're going to show up with our best game, or it's going to be another loss for the Rams.
You know, kind of a general question, but what exactly are you expecting to see from the Intercom offense?
Well, it's the wing tee, and the coaching staff actually enjoys coaching against the wing tee. It's the ultimate in team defense. Every player has to do their job. Defensive ends and linebackers have to stay at home and wait for the counter back. And we have to gang tackle number 3, Austin Thurman. He's, like his father, a very good football player.
All right, well, that's all I got for today, Coach. Thank you for being here.
Thanks for having me.
And back to you guys.
Coming out from Coach's Corner, we're going to move on to our next segment, which is some key questions that we have for tonight. And the first one is, how is Casa going to stop Intercom's run-happy team with number 3?
I think Casa just needs to, the defense especially, needs to just stick to their assignments, and they'll be able to plug all the gaps and stop number 3.
Marcus said it exactly. The defense is going to have to rely on each other they all got to stay home. They all got to know their responsibilities, and they have to execute. And the same goes for the offense. We have to be able to score when we need to score.
All right, and moving over to the offense, how is the offense going to handle this aggressive play man style of Intercom's defense?
You know, Brendan, the offense is going to have to really maneuver around. Hopefully they put in some new routes, maybe some different types of runs to get around that man press.
Exactly. I think we need to stretch the field enough to where the DBs are going to back off, and then we can start doing anything we want, really.
All right, and moving on to our next segment, Casa wins if...
Well, Brendan, Casa wins if we execute on both sides of the ball. Defense has got to stay home, and offense has got to be able to score.
Exactly, Michael. Along with that, the offense needs to put in the effort. Last week, it wasn't really there. And same with the defense. They did a better job, but the effort's got to be there for 4 quarters of football this week.
Definitely, guys. And Intercom wins if...
Intercom wins if they stick with their offense and their complicated style, maybe confuse us defensively a little bit, and put some points on the board.
Exactly. Intercom's going to win this game if our defense doesn't stay home, especially.
Well, that's all we have for you this week, Casa. Be sure to come out to Intercom High School tonight at 7 o'clock to watch your Casa Robo Rams dominate.